there, did you miss me? I know, it's been like 3 entire days since my last video, I don't know how you survived. Yeah, I'm kidding. After my last video, I've really come to appreciate that over the internet people cannot actually throw eggs at you, because that would have sucked. Okay, so I want to address the 2 main criticisms I received to my video on agnosticism, and the first one was that atheism is about belief, and agnosticism is about knowledge, and these are 2 completely different things, and therefore they are not mutually exclusive. Now, Bionic Dance made a response video to me, which pretty much reflects what many of you have been saying in the comments. So I'm gonna respond to her and hopefully to all of you with that.
Atheism and agnosticism are not mutually exclusive. I myself am an agnostic atheist. You see, Gnosticism references knowledge. Theism addresses belief. It's that simple. They're not mutually exclusive.
Well, just to start off, I never, ever at any point said that atheism and agnosticism are mutually exclusive. My point was that they are not mutually implicit, meaning that just because you're agnostic, that doesn't necessarily make you an atheist. And the other way around.
Gnosticism actually addresses a completely different issue from theism, and yet the 2 are still intertwined. Again, knowledge versus belief, Gnosticism versus atheism. And you can't be an agnostic and be separate from whether you're a theist or an atheist. It just doesn't work that way. They're separate issues.
This is the basis of our disagreement, because you treat knowledge and belief as if they are 2 completely different things, as you say they are, when they are in fact a continuum. In fact, Plato defines knowledge as a justified true belief. They belong to the same sphere. The difference between belief and knowledge is not one of kind, but one of degree. You can think of it as a scale, and yeah, this is a nail filer, try to ignore it and pretend it's a scale. So here, at one end, you have the completely unjustified beliefs.
Example of a belief that is based on a gut feeling.
I believe I will meet the love of my life this time next year. Then around here you have the beliefs that are somewhat justified but still pretty much baseless.
Example of a belief that is based on a trivial assumption.
I believe John will win this race. I mean, he won the last one and the one before that. Now around here you have the beliefs that are justified but just not enough.
Example of a belief that is based on facts but just not fully supported by facts.
I believe some dinosaurs were hot-blooded. And then near the end you have the beliefs that are justified beyond reasonable doubt.
Example of a belief that is based on facts and fully supported by facts.
I believe we share a common ancestor with the great apes. At this point, belief becomes knowledge. And you would be correct to say, I know we share a common ancestor with the great apes. So far we dealt with different levels of belief. And now we're dealing with knowledge. And we're not even at the end of the scale because there are different levels of knowledge too. For instance, you can know the basics of evolution, just scratching the surface, and that still counts as knowledge. Or you can have such a good understanding of it that you can teach it to others. Or you can be a fucking Jedi Master on the issue. Okay, now back to agnosticism versus atheism.
At the very least, that definition of agnosticism is etymologically incorrect. A-gnostic, without knowledge, you see? That's what it means.
And you say this like a bunch of times throughout your video.
I'm just saying that if they use the correct definitions of the words atheist and agnostic, well, then they're useful to describe them. The definitions you've got are not correct. It's like I'm using the technical, etymologically correct definition of these words, whereas other people are using the common use definitions. It's just that your definitions don't match the etymological definitions of these words, and so you and I are again talking past each other.
I'm really having troubles understanding where this is coming from, because you know the definitions change over time, and words change their meaning. Gay is a word that refers to a homosexual person. The term was originally used to refer to feelings of being carefree, happy, or bright and showy. It had also come to acquire some connotations of immorality as early as 1637. The terms used as a reference to homosexuality may date as early as the 19th century, but its use gradually increased in the 20th century. Now, if you were talking about fields of science, which we know you are not, then of course definitions cannot be flexible in that way, because you cannot just define a straight line as being curved. You could not do mathematics like that. But otherwise, definitions are given by how people commonly use the words. This is how language changes over time. And once a definition makes its way into the dictionaries, then it becomes legit. If you don't like that definition, tough luck. Until it is removed or modified or replaced or whatever, you just cannot call it incorrect just because it rubs you the wrong way. And by the way, Bionic Dance, what is this crap with the etymologically correct definitions? Who the hell told you that? If you can find me like one vocabulary rule or something that states that words must be defined in their etymological sense, then I will eat it. Like with a fork and a knife and some fries on the side. Nom nom. And what's ironic about this is that the word agnostic was not even initially used in its literal etymological way. Look up what Huxley meant by agnostic when he coined the damn term. Just imagine what would happen if all of us suddenly started using all the words we have in their etymologically correct way. Tell me, little girl, do you know what a pedophile is?
Yes, it is an adult person who is sexually attracted to little kids.
No, honey, that is etymologically incorrect. The term pedophilia comes from the Greek words pedos, which means child, and philia, which means friendly love or friendship.
So, a pedophile is just someone who loves children in a friendly way?
That is correct.
You mean like Santa? Is Santa a pedophile?
Yes, he is.
And like Jesus?
Exactly.
I'm gonna go tell everybody!
Basically, you're using agnostic as a way to say I haven't committed myself yet. That's not what the word means.
Definition of agnostic. One who's doubtful or non-committal about something. Now again, I'm sorry if you don't like this definition, but you just need to deal with it. And let's look at another one. Agnostic. One who's skeptical about the existence of God, but does not profess true atheism. And I don't even want to play this game of my definition is better than yours. If you want to use the word agnostic in its etymological way, fine. If it is in the dictionary, then you are perfectly justified to use it that way. So I'm not saying you are technically incorrect. I'm just saying that you are contextually irrelevant. I made this point in my previous video. I am agnostic about the existence of God to the same degree that you are agnostic about the existence of an invisible, undetectable little troll who right now is sitting on my shoulder, sticking his tongue out at the camera and playing with his penis. I mean, of course, by your preferred definition, you could call yourself and me agnostics in this situation, but in this context, the word agnostic says nothing about you. It says nothing about me. It doesn't define us. It is non-descriptive of us or our views. So then why use it as a label?
Well, let me say to you what I say to the theists. Prove it. No, really, prove there is no God. I dare you. I double dog dare you. I mean, I think there's no God. I'm pretty darn certain of it. But the fact is, I don't know for certain. I have no facts that contradict the possibility of there being a God. I just discount the probability. So I say to you what I say to everyone else. Prove it. Because otherwise, yeah, it does sound like fundamentalism to me.
So now I have to have doubts about something for no other reason than just because somebody claims it exists? Otherwise I'm a fundamentalist? What the hell, Bionic Dance? I don't need to prove a negative. And you know this. It is on the theists to prove their claim. Now, if they cannot prove it with science because God is so freaking undetectable, then they will need to bring on some other type of arguments to justify their claims. They believe in God because the sky is blue and the grass is green. Believe it or not, somebody actually gave me this argument. It's on video. Or they believe in God because their mother survived cancer and so on. And now all I need to do is refute their arguments if I find them unfounded. That's it. That is all. There is no after requirement of me to keep on doubting. Not even a tiny little bit. Now another thing that really annoys me, and I keep on seeing this in the comments, is this idea that as an atheist you either have to be agnostic or if you're not, then you are gnostic. Like, I just don't get you people. Where do you come up with this shit? These two words are not even perfect antonyms. Even if they sound that way phonetically, they're not. The word gnostic was never used with its etymological, strictly literal meaning. Not even in the beginning. That rhymes. Back then, a person who was gnostic wasn't someone who just had knowledge. It was somebody who had spiritual knowledge. It was very specific, in that context only. And even now, if you read up on it, you will see that the meaning hasn't changed much. And the people who call themselves Gnostic theists, they don't do so in the sense that they have evidence, physical proof for God's existence or anything like that, but in the sense that they know God, like on a personal level, in some esoteric bullshit kind of way. So I just don't see how you can be a Gnostic atheist. I mean, I'm not denying the concept, I'm just saying that I personally cannot wrap my mind around it. Maybe you can explain it better. Now, the other point I wanted to address, hopefully a lot faster, is this idea that agnosticism on its own is not a valid viewpoint on God. And to do this, I'm going to respond to the video made by the UK atheist, just because, again, I think his video sums up what you've been saying in the comments.
So to clarify, Gnostic and agnostic is a question of knowing and not knowing. Theism and atheism is a question of believing or disbelieving. So, to those who claim to be agnostics, now you know alone it is not a valid viewpoint. The question is, do you believe there is a God? The only two options here are yes or no. This would put you under the categories of atheism or theism. You would be an agnostic theist or an agnostic atheist. So which are you?
Remember how one definition of agnostic is someone who is doubtful or non-committal? This alone could pretty much refit your video, unless you go that way, you know which way, and you start claiming that the definition is incorrect with an appeal to etymology. Please don't do that. However, I want to leave the definitions aside and just explain the viewpoint of an agnostic, because I used to be one. If some 10 years ago or so somebody asked me if I believed in God or not, I simply could not answer with yes or no. I would have probably had to ask you back, do you mean like right now, in this very moment? Because there were moments when I truly believed in God. And then there were times when I would look at the world around me and think, there cannot possibly be a God out there. And then I had days when I thought God is real and I hated him, like true hatred. And then I had moments when I was feeling so remorseful for hating God. And then there were the times when I was feeling really fucking stupid for hating something that doesn't exist. And then I would find myself praying with all my might. I was not an atheist, because I am an atheist now. And my view now is radically different from then. And I wasn't a theist either, because I had been a theist, and again my view as a theist was radically different. I'm gonna stop now, and I don't even know where this is coming from. This notion that if you have a scale of belief, that agnosticism is not on that scale, is somewhere over here, separately. But I just want you to think about this. The only thing that supports this idea is the etymology of the word agnostic. That's it. A word that was not even used in its etymological sense by the person who came up with it. Just one more thing, I realized that 2 videos on this issue in such a short time is probably already too much, so I'm not gonna make another video on this subject. Well, not anytime soon anyway. But please don't get upset over it, okay? Just don't get angry. And if you happen to watch the videos I responded to, which I will link in the low bar, don't downrate those videos, don't give those people shit. And stop giving me shit, by the way. What's that all about? No, I'm kidding, but this is not a fight, okay? Remember that. This is like a friendly conversation type of thing. These views are not dangerous. They're not affecting anything in a bad way. They're not damaging to anyone. We're just talking on a subject that, well, at least I find it interesting. Though I admit I could have done this video in like 4 seconds. I'm agnostic, and so are you. Your ass is agnostic.